לזרוק אותו לבור.
לא! לא! אנו לא נהרוג אותו. השליחו אל הבור, אך דם אל תשפכו.
Stephen Cook here. Welcome to this dry cistern near the remote town of Dothan. Welcome to this dry pit in which Joseph, son of Jacob, has been temporarily imprisoned. Welcome to Genesis chapter 37. What are we to make of this story? And in particular, how do you do a homily, preach a sermon on this text? Interestingly, a famous professor of the past of preaching, of homiletics here at Virginia Seminary, Walter Russell Bowie, he's buried in our cemetery. His rose garden is famous on this campus. Tried to teach seminary students how to exposit the text in the Old Interpreter's Bible. He suggested two possibilities, both of which I think are diametrically wrong. First, he tried to psychologize the text. Just as Joseph is in this pit, so the soul of humanity is sometimes spiritually and emotionally in a pit. That's pure psychologizing. The text of Genesis 37 never tells us how Joseph is feeling or what his inner psychology is. Walter Russell Bowie also tried to set the chapter in the context of human religious development, human evolutionary ascent. That doesn't work either. It's true, Bowie is right that humankind did begin in the swamp of abysmal nothingness, but this story has nothing to do with that. It's the story of God's holy history with God's people, not the story of a general evolutionary ascent of humankind. Joseph is down in that pit through the treachery and evil of his brothers, but God is using that evil for a much larger purpose, to save God's people, to save the brothers and their descendants. You can see this in a Hebrew word play a few verses earlier in chapter 37. In verse 14, Jacob sends his son Joseph to look for the brothers and to see to their shalom, their peace, their welfare, their salvation. Most English translations understand this to mean see how they're doing, see if they're okay, and bring back a report. But the Hebrew can equally mean to provide for the shalom, provide for the safety and salvation of the brothers. And that's what Joseph does in this story. God uses this awful, sinful act of the brothers to bring Joseph down into Egypt and prepare to get the family through famine in Canaan, get the family strengthened and fed and brought back as a strong people to inhabit the promised land. Just as Joseph symbolically goes down the bowels of the cistern, so the family will follow down through famine, through near death, down into the land of Egypt, the land associated with the netherworld and preparations, mummifications for death, only to be brought up again through God's grace and salvation. That's how to preach this story. Relate it to what God is doing, to what God's long-term trajectory is, not to the psychology of depression that lasts through moments in the pit, not through a general spiritual development of humanity, but through God's specific intervention to forward the covenant.